Afternoon, Stark County. Paul Clarys, Stark County Commissioner. Today is our part 3 of our Public Safety Roundtable. Today we have Lieutenant Mike Hanel from the Dickinson Police Department. Welcome, Mike. I appreciate you coming out.
Thanks for the invite. Glad to be here.
Today we're going to touch a little bit on what Mike does over at the Dickinson Police Department. He actually is part of a really critical role for both the city and the county. He's part of the dispatch group. I believe you lead that department, and along with that, you're also the public information officer for City of Dickinson.
That's correct.
Or the police department.
I'm born and raised here. I'm a Dickinsonite.
Okay.
Is Dickinsonite?
Sure,
Yeah.
We'll take that.
Sure. Yep. Did a little bit of college up at DSU, and then transferred up to Lake Region State College up in Devil's Lake for the peace officer program up there.
Okay.
My first law enforcement gig was over in Medora for a summer, so I did the tour season over there. Got hired on with the Dickinson Police Department in 2004.
Oh, okay.
And I've been here ever since.
You've been there for a while.
Yep.
And I think one of maybe the most critical things as far as public safety goes is this dispatch area.
Right.
I mean, you guys truly are the first responders.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's the pipeline. That's where it starts. Here in Dickinson, our dispatch center, we dispatch for police, fire, and EMS for everything within Stark County. Mm-hmm. The only thing we really don't dispatch for is the highway patrol along the interstate or the state highways. But everything else, if it's a volunteer fire department, city fire department, city police, that's all coming out of our dispatch center.
On any kind of fire call, walk us through how that goes.
Somebody dials 911 or even the non-emergency, we typically have at least 2 to 3 dispatchers on staff. One dispatcher will take that call. If it's a 911 call, they'll start to triage it. We recently, within the last 2 or 3 years, have gone to electronic guide cards. So basically, if it's a structure fire, the call-taking dispatcher will bring up on their screen a guide card to start asking the caller specific questions related to that structure fire. So while that dispatcher is taking down that information, the other dispatcher is the actual dispatcher, actually dispatching out the appropriate agencies. So based on that 911 call, we have a location information on file for that address, and that'll list what type of rescue district they're in, what type of fire district they're in. So if this is something that's populating out, in Richardson, we'd be that dispatcher would be paging out the Richardson Fire Department and Richardson Ambulance and law enforcement to get the units and routes.
So how many dispatchers do you have?
We have 17 that are on staff, so there'll be 16 dispatchers and then one like a 911 center manager. So that's a step below my level. I'm more at the policy level,
Sure.
kind of the overall stuff. But the mid manager handles the day-to-day stuff, scheduling, so on and so forth. And then below that are dispatchers. We were afforded, thanks to the commissions, both city and county commissions, we expanded our roster by 2 for 2026. So we're actually in the hiring phase right now for getting those 2 additional staff members into there.
So what's a typical shift look like for these folks?
So we currently run 12-hour shifts.
Okay.
It's typically a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. for a day shift, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. for a night shift. They basically have to get in 40 hours a week versus an 80-hour work week for police and fire.
Okay.
So it's a little goofy with that. They'll typically work 4 weeks of night shift followed by 6 to 8 weeks of day shift. So we try to rotate them through that variation.
What's the training process for a candidate that comes in and gets hired?
Certainly. So the ideal candidate on top of that is just somebody that can obviously work well under pressure. And we've been having really good luck. These last couple hires that we've had, I'm so proud of them. They're picking up on it so quick. We've revamped our training program within the last couple of years, so we've really brought that up to the new age. So when we get them in-house, they will go through approximately 12 to 14 weeks of side-by-side training with the trainer, the dispatch trainer. And then in addition, there's actually a 40-hour online course that they do at the same time through a national organization called APCO.
Okay.
And that's where they learn like the basic call-taking type of stuff to a national standard. And then they just train, basically their trainers is paired right in with them at the station, plugged in. They'll start typically on the lower stress, lower frequency stuff, just the basic radio traffic work. That's typically the easiest. And then about halfway through that, 6 to 8 weeks in, then they'll switch and then they'll start answering phone calls and eventually culminating into taking 911 calls. It would probably be the pinnacle there, is being able to manage a 911 call from start to finish.
How long have you been involved with the dispatch side of things?
Yep. So the dispatch center, I think I'm on probably we did a restructure here a couple years ago. I think I'm on about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
When I initially got in, we saw some things that we just needed to kind of brush up on a little bit. It's not that we were lacking, but it's just we just need that little extra push, both in terms of like our quality assurance program. So we're slowly getting that up to, I guess, national standards, so to speak, a little bit more consistent.
Yeah.
And then the big push that you were really pivotal in is getting our joint county-city partnership up to speed. Because since it is a joint county-city. And
just a little background on that. I think we were sitting on an agreement that was crafted originally like 1995. The city and the county have partnered. I believe the county provides 40% of the funding for staffing at the dispatch level, and then we have also an agreement as far as equipment. Those funds that fund this operation, both on the city and the county, is general funds. It comes out of the general fund, a portion of it. There is some grant dollars out there, and additionally 911 fees. So every person that has a cell phone, correct? I think gets a monthly charge on their cell phone bill, and those 911 fees come to the county, and we use those funds for dispatch and such. So, along with that new joint powers agreement we put together, we actually formed a public safety
advisory committee.
We get together once a quarter. I think it's really great. I mean, we get the PD, the fire, rural fire departments, and this communication. I think that's mostly that's been a big thing that we've talked about at these meetings is like trying to mesh the communication between all these entities, which can be a little bit difficult. Let's talk a little bit about, in your time with dispatch, some of the challenges that you've seen and how you've had to pivot and make changes and to try to achieve some success with those challenges.
Yeah, certainly. Obviously, the oil boom, in the 2010s, 2011s, we obviously saw call volume spike. And we started planning around that, and even after the boom left, not only in dispatch but even on the street, we still saw that same tempo, even though the oil might have dipped a little bit. So our current numbers, though, it actually looks like it's a little bit of a dip from last year.
Okay.
It certainly doesn't seem like that. It seems like we've been fairly busy. I guess I'm not sure exactly what to make of that.
Sometimes you might not have maybe quite as many calls, but the seriousness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. That usually accounts for a lot of that too. So yeah, that's been a challenge there. Just trying to staff as best we can. Just try to be as predictive as the times of day that could be potentially more busier than others, and just making sure that we have enough people in the chair stands to answer the phone calls. One
of the obstacles that you guys have had to overcome at dispatch is the language barrier. Let's talk a little bit about how you folks handle that when you get a non-English speaking person on the phone.
Right. So 10 years ago, if we'd have a non-English speaker contact 911 or our non-emergency line, we would have to basically do a conference call with something called the language line. That's a subscription fee that, again, costs money per year, and it's actually not really that terribly cheap to be able to keep them on staff. But it's basically any type of language, 24/7, we're able to do a conference call. It's a little clunky. It takes time to set up. So we saw that, especially in the recent years, that continuing to be an issue, a communication barrier, quite literally, in order for us to get help to the people that needed it. So along came a solution that we were made aware of. It's called Rapid SOS. We've recently, I shouldn't even say recently, we've had Rapid SOS for several years now, but they keep adding modules into it. And part of the modules that we just got done investing in with the help of county and city funding was something called the Harmony AI module. So it's leveraging basically the technology behind AI, and along with speech to text. So if we have a Hispanic speaker calling into 911, it's the Rapid SOS is installed in line with our phone system, so it'll detect through its AI model what type of language is being spoken, and then on the dispatcher screen it'll start to transcribe exactly what that foreign language speaker is saying, so we can immediately tell, yeah, they're in a vehicle crash up by Walmart or something like that. And at least it'll actually start to summarize in a nice, clear, concise box exactly what this call is about. It'll pick up on keywords, so it gives the dispatchers a great amount of situational awareness. And so that was something we installed here last year. And literally, as I was walking into this interview about 45 minutes ago, I got a email from Rapid SOS. One of the key components that we'd been waiting on that was still in development was the ability to talk back to them. Because even if we got the initial information about what was happening, there was still that language barrier for us going back out. So unless our dispatcher knew Spanish to be able to re-engage them, it really didn't do us a lot of good. And we were still having to do that language line, that conference call. But this recent module that I just got notified of, that sounds like it's ready to go, and I'm really anxious to get back to see it and test it out, is now we type the response back in, and then it's an AI voice that goes over the phone line back to the person. So we're basically establishing two-way communications on the fly without having to conference it in.
So how many consoles, actual dispatch consoles, do you have in your center?
So we have 5. Typically, at any given time, 3 or 4 of them are on use. That 5th one is kind of off to the side for like a main event type of situation, pre-planned events. So if we have a SWAT call or something like that, we would assign a dispatcher just to that console and manage that incident from there. But 5, yep.
So what is the typical turnaround time on a console?
So we recently had the city approach the county, and we actually came up with a IT service agreement. So our city IT kind of manages that, and it, like you said, it's on a rotational basis, so it's not as much of a sticker shock to the public, because components are expensive. I mean, because of AI, RAM is insane, insanely expensive. So we have to be very cognizant of that. We're planning on the budget side that we're not overloading on one system or the other. But it does cost money. Servers and radio equipment, monitors, like we have the big curved monitors now that are really good. The Veridesk risers, stuff just for ergonomics to make sure our dispatchers are staying
relatively comfortable. I mean, it's a long shift.
Exactly.
I mean, you were trying to explain to me this 40-hour work week versus the 80-hour work week, and even the designation of the dispatchers, who, in my mind, are definitely a first responder.
Absolutely.
Right? And if you want to explain that a little bit, we can go there.
Certainly, yeah. So this kind of comes on the heels of National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week, which we're wrapping up tomorrow. So it's just a week that we celebrate nationwide, the dispatchers and the jobs they do for us. And part of this is we're monitoring really closely some legislation at the federal level called it's a bipartisan bill that's kind of in limbo right now. It's called the 911 Saves Act. And part of what that will do is it'll reclassify 911 dispatchers in the labor and the ops and management budget. Their labor code would be classified that as a first responder, which you would think it already has been, but actually it's not. 911 dispatchers are currently classified in the same OMB category as taxi cab dispatch drivers, which there couldn't be more daylight in between the two job duties of a taxi cab driver versus somebody performing CPR over the phone. Lifeguards, for example, they're considered first responders in the OMB type of thing. So what this legislation is hopefully trying to fix nationally is allow that our 911 dispatchers to be recognized as first responders. And what that does, that not only opens up our ability to be more flexible on their scheduling, because right now we're mandated that we can only work them 40 hours in 1 week versus 80 hours in 2 weeks. I know that kind of sounds like splitting hairs, but in terms of trying to get 24-hour coverage with the staff that we have, it's a little cumbersome. So that would really open it up there. But I think the big part on that is just that emotional side, that we're actually recognizing our first responders for what they are.
Show them the respect they deserve.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's not lost on me, I can tell you, but I just wanted to make sure that that's part of this whole safety roundtable series here, is just to make some awareness, or get some awareness out there to the folks that are protecting us 24/7, right? And truly, the dispatch folks are that first line of defense that we have. That communication. It doesn't matter what business you're in. I mean, communication is absolutely critical. And what you guys do, I really appreciate it. And those folks are first responders in my mind.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, Mike, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day and doing this with me. Once again, just appreciate it. Thanks again.
Yes. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
So just to wrap up my interview with Lieutenant Mike Hanel today, I really appreciate him coming in and offering some perspective on what he does for all of us at dispatch, and the absolutely critical and important role that he does, or his group does, and all these roundtable discussions are an effort to get all the public as much information about what those folks do and some of the challenges and successes that they have doing them. I really want to thank Mike and his group for what they do for us here in the city of Dickinson and Stark County. Look forward to seeing you all again. I'll be coming out with part 4. We'll have another guest here very shortly. Till next time, thanks and have a great day.